Hi, everybody. Welcome to Healing from A to Z with Masterful You and KB. I am Chris Burke, and the topic of the day is healing your addiction. First, let's start with you're not broken and there's nothing wrong with you. All humans struggle with some form of addiction at one time or another. Most of us, many of them. I personally know I have. And I used to say that I didn't want to try new things. Like I remember going to a casino for the first time. I'd never gambled and I was in my 40s, right? And I went to a casino and I was like, oh no, I have an addictive personality. I don't think this is a good idea, right? So that idea that I had an addiction personality versus being human comes preloaded with that possibility or that not even likelihood. Like we have addictions, but let's talk about them because there can be positive addictions. For example, we see one of my positive addictions over there. I love being with the horses and it feeds me. It makes me feel more connected to me. That can be a really positive thing, right? So not all addictions are, bad. In fact, they are typically survival mechanisms. And if we're still alive today, I mean, if you're listening to this, I'm going to assume that you are, and I'm assuming that I am as well, then those addictions have actually worked really well because we are, in fact, still alive. So let's talk about addiction a little bit. It comes from our instincts, our unconscious, primitive brain, when it realizes that we're feeling uncomfortable in our skin. It uses addictions to change our energy, to change the way we're feeling, to change our experience. And a lot of the work that we're doing in this healing series is to actually become aware of our own experience, to become reconnected to it, to get out of our heads, back into our experience, so that we can be the ones that are deciding how we want to improve that experience, instead of just letting our unconscious instincts run away with us, right? So it does work in the short term, but this is the thing about instincts, is that instincts are always about the moment. When fight or flight are happening in the real world, when there is clear and present danger and you need to take action right away, the thought isn't, what are the long-term consequences of this, right? Makes me think of the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz. We're just taking action that's going to increase our likelihood of surviving in that moment. Our instincts are they're very complicated, but they're actually a simple version of take this action now based on what we've learned over time increases the likelihood of changing the way that we're feeling. The better we feel, the more comfortable we feel in our skin, the more likely, historically, biologically, genetically, we are to survive. And so it's always looking for opportunities to increase our comfort, right? The more comfortable I am, the safer I am, the more likely I am to survive. However, some of our addictions, that's not the case, right? I mean, we all know if we're smoking or we're drinking or we're doing these other addictions that can have consequences on our body, on our health, that will ultimately affect our happiness and our survival. But again, instincts are about the moment. So what do? We need to get ourselves into a position where we're able to access our other levels of intelligence. We need to be able to use our intellect to communicate and interact with our intuition and our inspiration. Our intuition is going to guide us toward healing modalities. Your intuition is likely to have said, hey, check out that video, let's go there. Why? Because we've got this trauma energy trapped in our bodies that keeps us from feeling safe there. We've learned a long time ago in the current, modern human experience how to live in our heads and kind of think about how other people are perceiving us and how they're experiencing us, or how we think they are and what we think about ourselves. instead of actually being present in our experience and paying attention to what's going on and learning from that and growing with that. So we end up dragging around a lot of unprocessed traumas from the past. Some of them are big shared traumas that we've experienced together as societies or communities, natural disasters, war. And then there are other kinds of traumas that we can experience in our daily life when, as a child, all of a sudden we realized that we could do something that would cause the people that we relied upon to withdraw their affection or even to punish us, right? That was scary. So we had to figure out really quickly, like, how do I make sure that my parents or my whoever is taking care of me, maybe it's even at school, that they're not unhappy with me because I'm relying upon them, right? So the instincts kick in and say, okay, you're going to act, you're going to do some conforming here, is generally what happens. And we can resist. It's also possible that we'll fight against that conformity. But in either case, the point is that we're reacting to our outside world instead of sinking into our own experience and paying attention to what's going on there. So let's change that. Okay. Did I make the point adequately that our addictions are symptoms that we have trauma in our bodies that we're trying to escape? That is the human condition. So let's do healing, get that trauma energy processed, get it out of our bodies, and boom, then we're free to make choices. Then when you say things like, oh, I don't think I want to drink so much, or I don't want to, whatever it is, because I actually want to put my energy and attention into something else that's going to create, help me to build a life that I love, you will actually be able to do that because your unconscious mind, your instincts in this case, will not be fighting against you. You'll just make a decision and it will happen. So let's lay the framework for that. Right now, I would invite you to write down 3 incidences where you feel like you're out of control with some sort of addiction. It could be social media is what's the word? Popular is not the right word. Prominent one these days. It could be a substance. It could be any other way that you kind of escape the present moment and you feel your mind kind of go like elsewhere. Could be watching TV. So just write down a few ways that you do that. And then we're going to write down 3 ways that we notice other people in our lives doing that same thing. What are people doing to escape the present moment, to escape the experience of being who they think they are in that moment? Write those down. Pause the video if you need to. If you're driving, come back to this later. Okay? And make a circle around these instances and say, okay, this is my experience of addiction right now. This is what addiction means to me in this moment. And that's your starting place. It's so important that we give ourselves a sense of where we're starting and where we're going because, otherwise we get lost and we start to feel like when waves come up of something and we're like, oh no, I did that wrong, which we didn't, but that's what our society has taught us to think. When those things happen and we feel like we've gone backwards, we really want to have that map of like, what was the starting point? What did I know at that time? What have I learned since? And how has my experience changed? So on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being I can't get out of bed because this problem is just ruining my life, and 10 is, I'm blissfully happy, and when I make a decision, I'm easily and effortlessly able to follow through on that. Where are you right now in terms of addiction? Write that number down. And then we're going to go through a process of writing down the following 5 categories of experience. We're going to look at each of them individually. So I think when I am at whatever the number is, a lot of times it's a 2, 3, 4 when people decide that they're going to pay attention to it and do something about it because it's impacting the quality of their lives, right? So let's say you're at a 3, and you're going to say, when I'm at a 3 in terms of addiction, you're feeling what? You're thinking what? So I think, write it down. I feel. How are you feeling emotionally? You may not have the words to describe your emotion. That's pretty common. Emotions. That's pretty common in our world today. When we're trying to escape our experience, a lot of it is because we're like, gosh, if I ever touch the emotion that's bottled up inside of me, it's all going to come undone, right? That it won't, but it can feel that way. Number 3, what are you thinking and saying? What are you doing and saying? What action are you taking because you're at this 3 or whatever number you chose? And then 4, drop into your body and do a scan. Like, start with your head, move all the way down to your toes and back up, the back side, and just pay attention to, what do I feel in my body? Is there any tension anywhere? Is there any resistance? Is there some part of you, like for me, whenever I would talk about addiction in the past, my stomach would go into knots and my throat would feel tight, right? That was how I knew that I had some, we call them triggers today. Really, it means unprocessed energy. I've got some unprocessed energy around this. And that's the only reason that we feel powerless, because the energy is unprocessed and it's hidden and we don't know it's there. And after you do the body sensation, writing down, just noticing. Don't dig around in it, and don't, avoid the temptation. Or I'm having word issues this morning. That's okay. So give yourself the grace of saying, whatever it is that I'm feeling, I'm just going to write it down. I'm an observer in this situation. I don't need to feel any way about the way that I'm thinking and feeling. It can just be there. And the last thing is, what do you know? Okay, so what do I think? What do I feel? What do I say and do? What do I sense in my body? And what do I know about addiction, my addiction experience at this point? That's your starting point. Pause the video, take your time, and you're really interviewing yourself and getting to know yourself, because for most of us, we've spent so much time living in our heads and the ideas of what other people think about us and how we think about ourselves, right? We might be saying, oh, we're bad because we do this and we're good because we do that, and keeping score, that we lost touch with actually the essence of who we really are. I promise you, you stick on this healing journey and you will fall in love with yourself, the truth of who you are. It takes a little work, but it's absolutely worth it. The second step in this the second part, I should say, is that we're going to decide where it is that we're going. So if you're currently at a 3 experience, where do you want to be? Do you want to be at a 7, an 8? I encourage people not to go for the 10, but to actually give yourself a chance to choose a number that will be a great improvement. You'll feel more like, oh, I'm mastering this, right? I am deciding what happens in my life, what actions I take, what thoughts I'm having. I'm more in the driver's seat, right? So give yourself a number that feels reachable, achievable. I always say, so people might get sick of hearing this, that as we approach 10, actually we realize it starts to go further away, because there's no end to this process. I mean, it can just keep getting better and better and better. Okay, so you choose the number you're going to be at in terms of your addiction. And then we'll go through the process again and say, when I am at that number that is my goal, I will think these thoughts. Write it down. I will feel these feelings. I will say and do these things. I will sense in my body this. Will you be heavier? Will you be lighter? What's the difference going to be? If there's tightness in your body, will that be gone? Right? If your anxiety starts to bubble, and we're going to be talking about that tomorrow, actually. Pay attention to what the difference is going to be. And finally, what do you know, right? So what do you sense, and then what do you know? So you just really get into that body feeling, allow yourself to embody it, allow your imagination to create this experience for you, so that when you're going through your day-to-day experience, you know where you're going. And when you have waves of that experience, oh my gosh, this is it, right? You'll recognize it. You won't, in fact, say, oh, this feels so unfamiliar that I'm now uncomfortable and I need to go do some escapism. You will recognize, this is the thing. This is the place. This is the experience I've been going for. Because you are not your experience. You're not your thoughts. You're not your feelings. You're not any of that. You are the awareness. You are that part that's able to ask the question and say, what's going on here? And then notice it and process it. And if you work with your body to process the truth of what's going on inside of your experience, your body is all too happy to get that blocked energy out of there and open up your internal communication channels so you can have more access to your brilliance, right? More access to your intuition, more access to your inspiration that will tell you which direction a life you love lies in. And these can be small things. People get scared, like, oh no, if I get inspired, then I'm going to blow up the whole life I have. No. I mean, maybe if that's your choice, but it certainly doesn't have to be that. It just means that you're conscious of the fact that you've got instinctual intelligence going on, you've got mental intelligence going on, you've got intuitive intelligence and inspirational intelligence, all of them communicating with your awareness and communicating with one another. And when you're able to process that trauma, you can sit in this place of presence in your experience and say, okay, I'm taking in all of these 4 parts of information, all of them valid, all of them have really important roles to play, and I can decide what action I will take based on all of that really good information, right? It's so empowering. When you have all of this information down and you've looked at, okay, here's the experience I'm at, that's the experience I'm going to, we've now made this, we've sent this into our subconscious mind. So with our conscious mind, we're setting our direction. And we're also looking at the truth of where we are. We can't make any change until we look at the truth of our experience, because it's the truth where it all happens. That is what's happening. If we want to change our experience, we need to start with where we are, not in some imagined place over there, not in our heads. We actually have to be in the truth of our experience. And then we're going to ask ourselves, what do I need to know or do to move from my current experience to the experience that I've chosen to have? This is an intuitive exercise. It may come to you really quickly. It may take time. A friend might call you up and say, hey, I just heard about this great book you should read. There are people that can help you to process your traumatic energy all over the place now. I mean, they're everywhere, because we're in a time where that's our evolution, right? It's that we've got to get this trauma out of our systems so that we can move forward in kindness and respect, so that we can live in integrity in our own bodies, with one another, and our families and communities. I mean, this is the way forward. And you're part of that now. So I encourage you to give yourself the grace of going through this process that humanity has been struggling with for a long time, right? And we're starting to have our breakthroughs. It's pretty exciting. Tomorrow, is tomorrow Friday? No. On Friday, we're going to be doing a Q&A. Judy Forder, my colleague and dear friend, and I will be answering your questions. So please tune in. Write your comments below any of these Healing from A to Z videos for the week, for the letter A, that's this week, and we will answer those for you. Of course, that will continue to go through the months. Please like, share, and subscribe. you now have a framework where you can be in the driver's seat and you can actually know where you are and where you're going. It's not about who you are, it's about where you are in your experience. And I'm so impressed that you had the courage to take a look at that and be honest with yourself. That is life-changing. For more information, go to masterfulyou.com. Thanks for being here today, and thank you for being you.